Roots list number 14. Write down the roots, definitions, and sample words in your writing journal. This list has 5 word parts. First set of roots, we have phon, phone, phono, and phony. And the definition is sound. Let's take a look at some sample words. First, we have phonics, which is the science dealing with spoken language or speech sounds. So when a child is first learning how to say the alphabet, the child will be introduced to phonics. Then here we have a picture of a microphone. Micro meaning small or a millionth. A microphone is an instrument that makes small sounds larger. For example, when you talk into a microphone, it'll amplify or increase the sound of your voice. Then we have phonograph. Here is a picture of a phonograph. That is an instrument which reproduces sound, speech, music. For example, it's an old record player. Then we have symphony, which is a harmony of sounds. For example, there would be different musicians playing different musical instruments all together at the same time to produce a harmonious sound of music. Then we have a megaphone. Here is a picture of a megaphone. That is a piece of equipment like a large horn which you talk through to make your voice sound louder. This would be an alternative to a microphone because it does not have to be plugged in. Then we have a telephone. Here's a picture of an old-looking telephone. A system of communication that you use to have a conversation with someone in another place. So it carries the sound of your voice to someone far away. And then finally, we have cacophony, which is a loud, unpleasant mixture of sounds. So let's say, for example, you went somewhere where there was a lot of animals, and then something caused all the animals to start making a bunch of sounds, which might not sound very pleasant. That would be considered a cacophony. Okay, so all of these roots, phon, phone, phono, and phony mean sound. And make sure you also write down micro means small or a millionth. Okay, our next set is one root, which is poly, and it means many or much. Let's take a look at some of the sample words in which you can find poly. First, we have polygamy, and here's a picture of that. It means having many mates at one time. So you can see in this picture, this man is not only getting married to one woman, but to 3. In our society, we typically practice monogamy, mono meaning one, which is having one mate at a time. Okay, then we have polygon. Here is a picture of some different types of polygons. Okay, a polygon is a figure with many angles or a flat shape with 3 or more sides. And you notice here at the picture at the bottom, the polygons are named by the number of sides. So for example, tri means 3, triangle. Quad means 4, so it would be a 4-sided square. Penta means 5, so it has 5 sides. Hexa means 6, hexagon has 6 sides. Hepta means 7, heptagon has 7 sides. Octa means 8, octagon has 8 sides, non means 9, nonagon has 9 sides, and deca means 10, a decagon has 10 sides. So with the polygons, you can see the roots at work there. Then we have a polyhedron is a solid shape with many sides. Then we have monopoly is if a company or government has a monopoly of a business or political activity, it has complete control of it so that other organizations cannot compete with it. Then we have polytheism. Here's a picture for that at the bottom here. And polytheism is a belief in many gods. Polynesia, Nesia meaning island, is the many islands of the South Pacific. And polyarchy, a form of government in which power is vested in 3 or more persons. Okay, so poly means many or much, and Nesia means island. Next root, we have port, which means to carry, door, gate, harbor, or haven. And as you can see, we have a lot of sample words that have the root port. First, we have portable. Something that is portable is capable of being carried. Okay, so it would be small enough and light enough to be able to carry it. For example, a portable DVD player would be something small. Maybe you can carry in a car, on a plane. That's light and not too heavy. Then next we have porter. ER means one who or that which. Here we can see a picture of a porter. And that's one who carries or one who opens doors. Okay, so typically you would find a porter at an expensive hotel. You would be checking in, and then the porter would ask you if you would like your bags carried to your room, and then the porter would expect a tip in return. Okay. Then we have seaport, which is a port or harbor town used by seagoing vessels. Then we have deport, which means to make someone leave a country and return to the country they came from. Then we have import and export. Here's a picture of that. These are opposites. Import is a product that is brought from one country into another so that it can be sold there. And then export is the opposite, the business of selling and sending goods to other countries. So M meaning coming in, and then X meaning going out. Then report, a written or spoken description of a situation or event, giving people the information they need. Then we have passport. Here's a picture of a passport, which is a document you get from your government that proves who you are and what you need in order to leave your country and enter other countries. Okay. Then we have teleport, is to transfer or transmit instantaneously without physically traversing the space in between, but rather by psychic or advanced technological means. So teleporting is something you might see on a movie where they show a person's body teleporting from one place to another instantaneously, like on Star Trek maybe. And then transport, here's a picture at the bottom, modes of transport. The system or method for carrying passengers or goods from one place to another. Okay, so port meaning to carry, door, gate, harbor, or haven, and meaning one who or that which. Then we have post, meaning after in time, place, or position. Let's look at some sample words. Posthumously means taking place or printed after someone's death. A lot of times artists become famous posthumously. After they're dead, their artwork suddenly becomes well-known and expensive. Then we have postpone. Pone means to put, place, or set, meaning to put off something until some later time. So for example, many events had to be postponed due to the COVID-19 pandemic, and hopefully will take place at a later time. Or another example is, let's say there's an outdoor activity plan, but then there's a big rainstorm that has to be postponed until the rain is gone. Okay, then we have postscript. Here's a picture of postscript. Is a note added to finish a letter or a book. So in this picture here, you can see that someone has written a letter and they've signed it. And then PS stands for postscript. Just a quick little note of something they forgot to include in the letter. Okay, so if you've seen that before on a letter, PS, but never knew what it meant, it's an abbreviation for a postscript. Then we have post-meridian. Here's a picture up here showing the difference between post-meridian and ante-meridian. Post-meridian is taking place in the afternoon. So when we look at time, when we refer to something in the morning, we say AM, for example, 8 a.m., or something that happens later on in the day or at night, for example, 8 p.m., if you never knew what those letters stood for, AM stands for ante-meridian, PM stands for post-meridian. So we have the dividing line is basically noon, right? So anything before noon is AM, and then anything after noon is PM, post-meridian. Then post-mortem is occurring in the time following death. You might hear that word a lot if you like to watch crime show dramas, and they talk about examining a person's body and if something happened pre or post-mortem. And then finally, we have postnatal. It's relating to the time after a baby is born. So in this example here at the bottom, this would be something you'd find at the hospital after a mother gives birth, postnatal assessment of the mother and the baby. Okay, so post meaning after, and pone meaning to put, place, or set. And then our last root, or list 14, is pre. It's the opposite of post, and it means before in time, place, or position. And let's take a look at some sample words. Predict. Here's a picture of predict. It means to foretell beforehand. So for example, you might hear this in an English class where your teacher asks you to predict what will happen, maybe based on a title, some pictures, a short summary. Or when you're watching a movie, you might predict the ending based on what's happening at the beginning of the movie. Okay. Then we have prehistoric. Here is a picture of that. In this picture, we have biggest prehistoric mammals in North America. It's relating to the period before written history began. Then it's usually associated with like dinosaurs, okay, or cavemen. Then we have a premonition, is a warning or a notice of impending failure, success, or disaster. So usually if you go to a fortune teller, they might give you a premonition of what's going to happen later on in your life. Then we have prescribe, is to write down beforehand, as does a physician when you're given treatment for being sick, like given medicine. Then we have precede, to happen or exist before something or someone, or to come before someone else, as in a series. And then prefix, these are things that you should be familiar with already from learning Roots All Year. And here's an image down here of that. A prefix is a group of letters that is added to the beginning or before a word to change its meaning and make a new word. Okay, so we have a prefix coming before, and then the root, and then the suffix coming after. And then a prelude is a smaller event that takes place before a bigger or more important event. So, for example, you might have a big concert, but then there might be some kind of smaller event that happens before that, and that would be a prelude. And then prejudge is to form an opinion about someone or something before you actually know or are given all of the facts. And that usually happens a lot with maybe based on someone's appearance or maybe even their name if you can't see what they look like. Okay, so pre meaning before in time, place, or position. And those are all of the roots for list number 14.